So welcome to this training session on your EBSCO database and ebooks. My name is Jay Yurdakul. I'm a training specialist at EBSCO for the regions of Southeast Asia as well as Oceania. Now, I want to start with the key objectives of today's session. By the end of the session, you will be able to describe and access Academic Search Ultimate and EBSCO ebooks, construct and apply search strategies to locate information and research, use a MyEBSCO personal account to save and store articles, find specific journals and publications, use the subject thesaurus to find precise results, and locate help and support materials. So I sometimes get the question, why should I be looking at these research databases when there's a free internet available? And so I'd like to point out some of the key things that you'll find when searching EBSCO databases that you won't find on the web. So first of all, the content available is authoritative. So the content's reliable, it's high quality, and importantly, it's written by experts in the field. These are people with scholarly backgrounds. They often work at universities. They are academics themselves, and they understand what research is and how to conduct proper research. You go on the internet, you don't always know who the author is, what are their qualifications, and are they qualified to speak on these topics? Have they done rigorous research? Whereas you go into a database and you'll be able to know exactly what their qualifications are, and you'll be able to see the research that they've undertaken to write up this paper. The other thing I want to point out is the content available is relevant to your original search. So that means when you search your keywords in the search box, your matches are going to be picked up in key parts of each of those articles. They're going to look for matches in the title, in the subjects, in the abstract itself, to make sure that you're getting the best representation back for what you're searching for. Whereas if you go onto the web, often the algorithm is meant to guide you towards what they think you want to see based on your location, based on your search history, based on the information, the data that they have of you. And so you're often getting things like confirmation bias. You're often seeing things that it assumes you want to see rather than seeing factual or the best researched content. And often when you're on the internet, the top items have been paid for. The top search results are determined by who has spent money to get their content more visible. So it can be very biased. I also want to point out that you have limiters and filters available. So when we say limiters, we mean that when you conduct your search, your results are going to then have opportunities in your results to narrow down even further. And some of these limiters can be by source type, by subject, by type of publication, or publication title, and so on. And so having that flexibility means you can narrow your results. So you might have a large amount of results, and in order to refine those results, you can use those limiters. And lastly, I want to point out that you can personalize your search. So you can set up a personalized profile, and we will go through this, and you can add content to your personalized folders. And the best thing is you can also, go into those folders in future sessions. So as long as you're always signing back into your profile, you can store items within that in future sessions. Now, when you're in the databases, there's a lot of different tips and tricks that you can use to help with your searching and get more accurate results. So I've put in this slide just some suggestions that you could use. So especially if you're doing advanced searching, which we will cover, we have what we call Boolean operators, and these are reflected in the commands and, or, and not. And so when you use any of these commands, you're creating different connections between your search terms, and you're indicating that you want the search to retrieve certain types of results. So for example, if I use and between my words, my keywords in the search query, I'm telling the system that I want to search for all those words. So it will have a more precise result list. So for example, I might be looking up the concept employee motivation, or I want to see what motivates employees. Instead of asking that as a question, what motivates employees? I can break that down into the two main concepts, employee and motivation, and then combine that using the Boolean and, so that the system knows that these are the key things I'm searching for and they must be searched together. The other thing is or, and so or means you're searching any of the words in the query. That works best if you want to expand out your search results by showing either of those words. Maybe some articles have both those words, but it will be either or both. And I think this works best if you're searching for similar terms. So for example, you might be searching for consumers, maybe something like consumer behavior, but consumers can also be customers. You might try to think of the different ways you can refer to consumers. And so you can use those different words that mean the same thing by combining them with or. So the system will pick up any of those words from a match. The other thing you can do that's a Boolean command is to use not. So what not does is it removes terms from a search. So for example, you might be looking for articles about students, so student populations, but you don't want any articles about university students. So you're looking for all kinds of students except university students. So if that's the case, you can type in students, not university, so that it doesn't pick up search results relevant to university students. So other things I'll point out here, we've got truncation. So what truncation does is you'll have a stem of a word and then use an asterisk to search for any other variations that share the same stem. So for example, the word manage. You might want to search manage, manager, management, managers. So instead of having to search each of those over and over again, you could search just the stem, so manage, and then just after the G have an asterisk symbol, and that will indicate that you're searching all those other terms that share the same word stem. We also have wildcards. So this is where you might want to substitute one or more characters in between a word. So truncation works really well at the end of a word. Wildcard works well in between, the first and last letter. So the middle word, the middle letters, the middle characters. So you could use a single character wildcard, and that's reflected with a question mark. So wherever you're substituting a character, you put a question mark and it'll search for any words that have virtually the same spelling except for that one character. So the example here is woman or women. And then you've got multiple character wildcard where there's two or more characters that are different, but otherwise the words are very similar. And the example I've used here is behavior. So instead of having to search a behavior in one spelling, behavior in the other spelling, this will cut out that time. And another really common technique is to search for words as a phrase. So the example I've given here is social media. So if you want to make sure that the words are not only both reflected in the search results, but are reflected in the search results together in that exact order, then you would put quotation marks around them. Now, another thing I want to point out, if you want to specify that you want to look at a certain field in the advanced search, you can also do that. So for example, you may have come across a title of an article by looking at a bibliography or a reference list, or it might be something that your teacher said that they recommend you to look for. And you want to see if that title is in the database. Well, you can type in that title and then indicate that you're only looking for a title using the select a field dropdown, which we'll go into in a minute. And so you can use that. Same with author. So if there's an author and you want to see what articles they've written, you could type in the author's name and then use the author field to only search for those terms as an author. And if there's any questions so far, do let me know. The next thing I just want to point out is it's always important to have a bit of a strategy of how you're going to go about your search. And so to simplify the process, I have indicated that there are 3 key steps for searching. Those are search, filter, and find. And that would complete the journey of locating relevant articles. So often the very important step is the first one. And in this case, this is where you think to yourself, what is my research question? What keywords should I highlight from this question because I want to search those keywords? Do those keywords have other similar words that I can interchange? Do they have any synonyms that I can use? Am I going to use and between these keywords so I can search for them together? Am I going to use or so I can search across synonyms? Are there other search techniques I want to use? Do I want to search some of these words as phrases, as truncation, and so on? Once I have a set of search results, I've commanded the search, I see all my results, you may find that there are a lot of different results that get picked up. So you might be thinking, how can I refine these results and really focus my search? That's where you can use the facets and the filters, which are displayed on the left-hand column of the search results. And lastly, you want to then locate relevant full text articles. And you may also want to find ways that you can cite articles, export articles, and perhaps save them to your EBSCO folder. So on that note, to access your e-resources, you can access that from your library homepage, so the PSNZ portal page. And I'll just go across to my screen. And here I am on the library homepage. And so from here, I would just scroll slightly down and you can see this tile just below this top banner here. You've got your little menu options below here, and one is for e-resources. So I would click on that tile and that will show me the list of e-resources. And you can see at the very top here, I've got my Academic Search Ultimate, and that's where we will start today's session. So if you need to see that instruction again, the Academic Search Ultimate page, I've given a direct link in this slide that I will be sharing after the session. So I'm just going to go and log in to Academic Search Ultimate. So I'll just go in now. So when you log in, it will be a different process. If you log in on campus, you will go straight through. If you are off campus, then the recommendation would be for you to log into your Easy Proxy so that you can have access remotely. But I'm just going through the way that I can get through as a trainer just to demonstrate today. So here I am. Once you click the link, you'll be taken directly to this page, Academic Search Ultimate. So this is what the platform looks like. Your default home screen is set to the advanced search. So what we can do from here is immediately start our search. And so as the first example, I'm going to search for ultrasound power. And I'm going to do a few different things, and I've outlined that here so that if you do go ahead and replicate this, you can easily then follow these different instructions to access these different options in the search. And we'll also talk about how you can refine your search results. And if there's any questions as I go through, do let me know. So the first step is, in my search box, I'm going to type in ultrasound power. As I type in my words, you can see that there's this autocomplete feature providing me with some suggestions of what I could use. If I ever see anything relevant here that I want to search instead, then I can easily click on one of these options. So it can provide a bit of a shortcut. I'll just proceed to search as I intended, and I'm just going to click the search button. So we're starting off with a more simpler search, just to go through the entire process of searching. Now, I now see my search result list. I have over 9,000, almost 10,000 search results. So that's a lot of search results to go through. And so because of that, I may decide that I want to use my left-hand column where it tells me that I can refine results in order to narrow down some of this result list. So I'll just scroll down a little bit, and in the left-hand column, the first few options I have here are to limit to full text. So that could be really useful so that I have access to content that contains the complete article. I'll just scroll down. If my lecturer, for example, indicates that I need to research peer-reviewed articles and include only peer-reviewed content, then I may want to click that limiter so that it only shows me peer-reviewed content. So peer-reviewed content is content that's been reviewed by other experts in the field before it has been published. And often peer-reviewed content is of a higher standard than non-peer-reviewed content. On my left-hand column again, another limiter I might select is the publication date range. So you can see it goes all the way back to 1975, but I may want to change that. So let's say I only want content between 2018 to 2022, and I will update accordingly. And so you can see initially we had almost 10,000 results. Now we've made it down to just over 1,000 results. So just from adding some of those limiters, we've been able to narrow the focus a bit more. So I'm just going to go through some other limiters here. I can limit to source type. Most of the content here is from academic journals, and that's to be expected because I did limit to peer-reviewed. I could also limit to subject if I wanted to. So for example, if I'm looking for ultrasonic imaging, I could limit accordingly. Maybe I'm looking for Doppler ultrasonography. So I can limit if I see something that matches more precisely to what I'm searching for. I can also limit to publication. So if there's a particular journal and I only want to see results from that journal, I can narrow down to that journal. And that's what I'll point out here, but you can see there are some other limiters as well. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll back to the top of my results. Now, by default, the sorting is according to relevance, and what that means is it's going to find the best match back to my original search term, and it looks into the title, it'll look into the abstract and the subject terms to get the most accurate results. But if I wanted to, there is the ability as well to sort by date newest. So if I just want to see what is the newest content that matches my search terms, I can use that option to sort by date newest. There is the ability to sort by date oldest, as well as by the journal name alphabetically, that's source, or the author's family name alphabetically, that's author. I'm just going to return back to relevance as my sorting. And you can see at the moment I'm seeing 10 results. Under page options though, if I want to see more results per page, the default here is 10, but I can go all the way up to 50. So it shows me 50 results in the page at a time. Now, another thing I want to point out is the share option. So I could add content to a folder. So I'm going to add these 450 results. Let's say at the moment I don't have much time to review every single one of these articles. So perhaps I just want to add it to my folder now and I'll return to it later. I want to point out at this point, this is a temporary folder. So after this session, if I sign out, I'll lose the content that I saved. If I want to permanently save the content, I will need to sign into folder at the top to the right, and we'll come back to that a bit later. Now, once I have an article, I might want to look at it for more information. So I can click on the title. It takes me to the detailed record. From the detailed record, I could easily read the abstract. So it's often a good practice to read the abstract to get a good summary before you commit to reading the full text. On the right-hand column, I do have my tools menu. So I can easily save and store this to the cloud, whether that's Google Drive or OneDrive. I also want to point out I could email this article to an email address if I wanted to, and it will attach the PDF and the HTML full text when available. And I can also cite. So if this is an article that I'm going to have in my research paper that's going to be inside my reference list, then I'll want to cite this. And there's 9 different citation styles reflected under the citation format tool. So for example, let's say I'm citing in APA 7th, I can copy that citation and add it to my reference list. This isn't going to replace your library's referencing guidelines. You should still double check that, as this is an automated citation and you still need to check your referencing guidelines to make sure that the formatting is correct. Now, if I want to read this in full text, you'll notice on the left-hand column, it's available in both HTML and PDF full text. So I'll just quickly click on the HTML full text. And the HTML full text has 2 interesting features. One of those features is that I can choose a different language and translate that. So you can see there are different languages reflected here. And if I wanted to, I can translate that across. And the other thing I want to point out, as I scroll through to the HTML full text, there is the ability to listen to this read aloud. So it will then play the audio of the text. So see if that will. So you can see there. So that's really useful if you have difficulty with reading the text, or if you find it easier to listen to audio rather than to read text. And I do want to point out, or even if you just find it more convenient to listen, whatever the reason might be, and I do want to point out there is the settings option to the left of the text-to-speech feature. And if I scroll down, there's the ability to download this file as an MP3. So I could store it and I could be going for a walk or be commuting transport and I could listen to this, say, for example, on my way to the college or whatever it might be. So you can definitely also download the audio if you prefer. Now, I also want to point out there is the PDF full text for this article. So this PDF full text is available, and if I wanted to, I can download this and read it offline. The benefit of the PDF is that it will contain page numbers. And so because it contains page numbers, you could cite this in your in-text citations down to the page number. So that's one of the benefits of having the PDF option. And if there's any questions so far, you are welcome to use the chat. I'm happy to pause and answer any questions. If you want to start a brand new search, I always recommend to click the new search on the top banner to the left, or even the EBSCO host logo, and that will refresh any settings, any searches you've done, so you can start brand new and not have to carry across any of those search parameters that you had in place.
Hi, I would like to ask, so
Yes.
as we do a search here, right?
Yep.
Because you earlier you got to the academic search ultimate, right? So
Yes.
it means that it will the papers the articles that will appear here is
Yep.
from only this EBSCO host from EBSCO database, or also it will from other database as well?
So that's a really good question. So the content here is coming from EBSCO host. So everything you search on here is from the Academic Search Ultimate database from EBSCO host.
So it means that it will there won't be any other papers from Web of Science or Scopus, right?
Sometimes sometimes there's overlap between the journals you'd find
Yeah.
in Web of Science. Some of those may be available through EBSCO-host. So EBSCO-host is a database that works with publishers. So there's journals from different publishers, and EBSCO-host provides a way for those publishers to have their journals available to users, if that makes sense. So so EBSCO provides this database, but the journals are coming from different publishers and different publications.
Okay, so they may overlap. So there may be some from Scopus or some from Web of Science also.
Yes.
They overlap. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
there may be.
But there isn't any way for us to identify or to find out which one is coming from there.
So you can go into publications on the top toolbar. We're going to explore this in a bit more detail, but you can actually search for journals. So if you know the name of a journal and you want to know if it's available, you can search for that name of the journal and see if it's available. Any other questions?
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you for your question. Okay, so the next search I want to do is something a bit more advanced, and this is where we might have a detailed research question, and we need to break up that question into different concepts, into different sections. So in this example, the question being asked is as follows. What is the impact of internal audit quality on a company's financial performance? There's a lot of components to this question. So the first step would be to highlight what is the question asking? So what are the main concepts that I can turn into search words? And so what I've identified is internal audit as one of the main concepts, company as another main concept, and financial performance as a third main concept. And what I want to do is to use advanced search to combine these concepts into one search. So there's two things I do here. So in each line of the search, I would put each of those individual concepts. And then within that individual concept, I may want to search interchangeably with other synonyms. So for example, the question says company, but I know that company could also mean organization or corporation, or it could be business, enterprise. So I could keep using or and adding in different words that mean the same thing. So I can search for those interchangeably and expand the possibility of search results. Likewise, financial performance, I've identified I could also search for firm performance. And I may also want to use some of those search strategies I mentioned earlier. I may want to use truncation. So internal audit could also be internal auditing. And if I use the quotation marks, I'm identifying that I want to search for these two words as a phrase. So I've got a question. Sorry, Ding, could you elaborate? What's it mean to enable others to be able to learn more about the company? Could you let me know what you mean? Okay, I'll just see if Ding can perhaps share with us a bit more detail. I wasn't sure what the question was asking, but while we wait, so basically, so we've got the three concepts, and I'm using and to combine each of these three. So I'm just going to go across to my search platform again, Academic Search Ultimate. And in the first search box, I'm searching financial audit. And I'm using the truncation because I'm searching audit or auditing. And I'm using the quotation marks because I'm searching financial audit together. In my second search, and I'm leaving this as and because I'm connecting this concept with my second concept, which is company. If I wanted to, I could do a truncation. So it searches company or companies. And then I've got organization. I could use a question mark. So I can search organization, whether it's with a Z or a S. And then corporation, I might have a truncation again. And lastly, I've got financial performance or firm financial performance. And you can see here it's giving me some suggestions. So I might just go with what it's suggesting here. And then I'm going to run my search. So you can see all the different results I'm getting here. So it sometimes can be very specific. It can be a very specific search. And so for that reason, I can end up with less results than I would if I didn't add some of these limiters. So I can always revise on this search if I wanted to. So if I want to expand results, one of the things I could do under select a field, there is the ability to select all text. So what that then does is it's going to search across all possible fields as well as the full text of the article itself. So I'll just do that for the very first one, and you can see if the results do change. So I've gone from 8 results up to 32. And so if I were to do that for all of these, it would then greatly expand the results. So now I have 828 results. So sometimes you might want to try different strategies to expand your results. One other way you could expand your results, so on the left-hand column where it says limit to, I can click show more. And it says here, search modes and expanders, and I could apply related words. So it will search across synonyms and also search within the full text of articles. And I could run my search again, having ticked those expanders. And so you can see, if it does add extra results or not. So sometimes if you're not getting enough results, you can use some of these techniques to expand your results. And I'm just going to now run a new search. And I did mention earlier, we've got the publication search. So if you're wondering what journals are available for you to locate, you can use the publications search. So I'm going to go up the top to publications, and I'm going to run a search. So I'm going to look up the Botanica Journal of Tropical. So I know the name of a journal, and this journal is available to me. So I can type in the name, and then you can see just below in the first search result, there's the journal. And I can click on that title, and I can then start to look through the issues of that journal. And I could even search within. So I'll just look up one of these issues, volume 45, issue 3, and I can start to read the articles from this specific volume. Or I can also go search within. So to the left here. And so I may want to search for a specific word. So I'm going to search biotechnology within this journal and then run my search and see what I can find on the topic of biotechnology. And I can start to look through those results. Okay. That was just another quick search I wanted to point out. You can also run a subject search. So if you're not getting accurate results by using the advanced search, another technique is to go into the subject terms search. So that looks specifically within the subjects field of each article. So essentially every article in the database has subject terms tagged to it. So to identify what the topic, what the concept is. So when you have those tags, you're going to get really specific accuracy in terms of the search results. So in this example, I'm looking for social media and brand loyalty, and I'm going to use the subject term search. So at the top toolbar, I select subject terms. And my first term I'm searching for is social media. So under here it says browsing. I search for social media, and it is in fact a subject term. So there are articles in this database that are about social media and that are tagged as social media. So I can click that. On the right-hand side, I've got explode, and that means I can not only search social media, but any other terminology that is connected underneath social media. That's also a form of social media. And I can leave that to add to search using or, add that to my search, and you can see at the top, this is what my search is going to look like. So all these different forms of social media, and I will easily find articles that are tagged with this subject. And there's over 72,000, but I don't want to stop there. I want to go back to subject terms, and now I want to look up brand loyalty and see if that is a subject term. So I type the words in, and you can see here, brand loyalty is a subject term. I'm going to add that to my search, and you can see that up the top. It's now going to be in my search, and click the search button. So those are my two searches. I'm going to clear that now, run a new search, because I want to then combine those two concepts in my search history. So this third option here, you can see everything I've searched in today's training. And these last two options, brand loyalty and social media, these are the two I want to search together. So I tick both of those, and then I indicate search with and. And so now it's combined both of those, and these are my search results. I may want to just change the language to English so that it only shows English language results. And so now you can see, so influencer marketing. So you can see here, this is about social media and it's about brand loyalty. And I can start to go through each of those. So it's just another way that I can run a search and really get some specific search results. And you can do that with anything, as long as just have a browse through subject terms, see if it's available as a subject term, what you're searching for. Okay. Now, the other thing I'll point out before we move on is the image search option. So you can actually search for images using Academic Search Ultimate. So I'm going to click on images in the top toolbar, and I'm looking for metacognitive strategies. So type in my search, and basically it's going to show you images from our image library, as well as images from our quick view collection. So you can see, for example, here, it's showing me images found in different articles. So some articles will have figures, will have tables, diagrams, and it's an easy way for me to see what articles contain those images. And so let's say I'm interested in this first one. I can click on that, and I can see a version of high resolution version of that image, so that table there. And if I wanted to, I can easily go back to the original article as well. And if I'm, let's see, yep. So that's everything I want to point out there.
Sorry, quickly, image here referring to any kind of table or any particular definition of image here? What do you refer to exactly?
So image could be a diagram, it could be a table, it could be a map. So it just depends on what keywords you're searching, and different things will come up depending on what's available. So in this particular example, metacognitive strategies, I've got things like tables available here. This one's a chart. So you can see in the results if it's a chart or a table. This one's a diagram. So sometimes photographs as well. It really depends what you're searching for. That's what will be picked up in the results. But it's just any imagery that the article has part of it, if you want to search according to the images in the article. Hope that makes sense. Did you have any other questions?
No, thank you.
No worries. Okay. So if you want to review what we've gone through, I've got some help articles. So there's some help articles about searching and best practices for searching. If you want more information about subject searching, I've got a help article with instructions, publication searching, images, and the folders as well. And if there are any other questions about that, do let me know. But before we wrap up this section, I do want to go back to the folder. So at the top toolbar, there is the folder. And I'm not actually signed in. So it means if I want to store these items in a future session, I do need to be signed into my EBSCO. At this point, because I'm not signed in, I would need to make sure I export everything before leaving the session. Otherwise, I will lose what I've saved. So Let's say I haven't signed in, I can select everything and I can either print what I've saved in the session, I can email it. So wherever there is a full text available, it will email the attachment of the full text. I also have the ability to save these locally, and I have the ability to export. So if you are using EndNote, Zotero, Mendeley, you can bulk export the items to those citation tools. However, if I choose to sign in, and it's free to sign into my EBSCO, you just click on sign into my EBSCO. And it'll take me to my personal user sign in page. If I haven't set this up before, I click sign up and I just provide my details. So I would just provide first name, your school institutional email address, and just create a password. Or you can also link it to Google if you have a Google account. Once you've set up your account, you go back to sign in, and I'll just sign in now. So because I already have an account, it shows me not only what I've saved in this session, but you'll see that I have other things that I saved previously as well. So I've saved some ebooks and so on. And so that can be really useful to store content that you've saved. And you can create multiple folders as well. So under at the bottom here where it says my custom, I can click new and I could create a new folder. And then that could be like an assignment folder. And so I can then run a search. So say I run a search on ethics. Let's say I'm doing an assignment on ethics. I could then save content to my ethics folder. So I can click the folder symbol and I just created my new folder now. And so I can have different folders for different subjects and different articles. Okay, so the next thing we'll go into is the EBSCO ebooks. So you can access EBSCO ebooks from your library portal. I've got a direct link here, but you can also on this page here where it has your e-resources, on the left-hand column, you just go to ebooks and one of the options will be EBSCO ebooks. And then you can click the link to be directed to the EBSCO ebooks. And so I'll just go across to the ebook collection now. And so when you're on the ebook collection, this is what you'll see. You'll see a search box at the top, and then you'll also see some highlights from your ebook collection that you could easily browse and access. And it also shows you a featured ebook collection. So it shows you some ebooks from a certain category. And on the left-hand column, I can browse different categories, perhaps depending on what I'm studying. So we're going to run a few different searches now. I'm going to run a keyword search. So let's say I'm looking for information communication. So ebooks around this topic. I can type in my search and run my search. And so you can see now I've got 59 ebooks available relevant to information communication, and I can start to go through those. So let's say I'm interested in one of these books. I can click on the title and the title will take me to the detailed record. And importantly, as I scroll through the detailed record, it tells me the published permissions. So I can email and save or print 100 pages, and I'll tell you why that's important, because you can read these ebooks online. You won't be able to download them, but you could download a chapter, or in this case, you could download up to 100 pages per session. And also bear in mind, there's limited user access. So that means 2 users can read this online at the same time, but anyone else would be not be able to access the ebook until one of those users has stopped reading it and it becomes available again. I do want to quickly point out there is the cite tool on the right-hand column, so you can also cite ebooks if you have them in your reference list. I'm just going to go across to the PDF full text. Okay. So PDF is really useful if you're accessing from desktops and laptops. It's more designed for those types of screens. So you can zoom out and you can zoom in and you can fit to width and you can also fit to height, and there is also a full screen view, and this is all available at the bottom, the far right corner. There is the contents option on the left-hand column, and I can easily jump to a particular section or chapter. And you'll see that each of these sections have a download symbol. So if I wanted to, let's say I only need chapter 4, I could download that. So you'll notice I can't download the whole chapter because it's 314 pages long and I can only download 100 pages. So perhaps I'll just download a few pages or just the current page, and I could download that as a PDF to keep. Even up here, there's also options if you want to save pages. And you can see once I've saved one page or downloaded one page, it then deducts from that overall. So I've only got 99 pages now. And that's the same regardless if I try to email pages to myself or print out pages. I also want to point out there's a dictionary. So if I'm looking through this and there might be a particular concept I'm uncertain of and I want to find out the meaning, so I can start to perhaps look through this. So like, let's say I'm not sure what dissemination is, for example. I could easily use the dictionary. Or this might not be the best example. I'm just going to use a very basic example. So dissemination is not there, but disseminate is there. So I'll just use that on the left, and you can see what disseminate means, for example. And so you don't have to go across to Google. You can remain inside the ebook reader and still look up terminology and definitions. Okay. There is also the search within functionality here as well. So if there's a particular concept, I'm going to use e-learning, that I want to see where it exists in the ebook, I can search for that and it shows me what pages are relevant. So think of that like the index at the back of the book, except that this is a more interactive version of that, where you can search it within and see what pages certain concepts are explored. And then we have the My Notes. And so if I want to create a note on a certain page, I might just click out of that. I can write a note. So this could be like a bookmark or a post-it note sort of functionality, so that even if I exit that page, because I've created a note to that page, I can easily navigate back to it by clicking this book symbol on that note, and it takes me back to that page. So as I mentioned, you know, when you have a print book and you have post-it notes, this is a very similar functionality. And I'll just go back again. Okay, I'm just going to run a new search. Let's say this time you're looking for a specific title. So this example, I'm looking for Understanding Autism by Silverman. So in the first section, I'm going to type in Understanding Autism, and I know this is the title of a book. So I click title in the selector field dropdown. Then I have and, because I want to combine this with my second term, Silverman, as the author. So in the drop down for selector field, I select author and then run my search. And so I see I do have a match to this book. Now I want to quickly point out, you can also access some ebooks as EPUB. So EPUB works really well on mobile apps and tablets, and that's because the page size will change itself and shuffle to fit any device, and that it does it much better than, say, PDF does. So I'm just going to go across to a particular page with text just to show you. So you can see here, it doesn't matter what size my screen is, the text itself never loses its shape or sizing. Whereas if I was in PDF, it wouldn't retain that same sizing. Okay. Now, the last search I want to show you is the advanced search. So again, where we combine different Booleans. And so let's say I'm looking at teamwork or team building and how teams learn. So I can type team and then an asterisk. So it's team, teams, teaming, teamwork. And then the second term is learn. So learn, learns, learning, and so on. And the and is to connect the two. And then I run my search. And then I can see results that are relevant to my two terms. Okay, so that was a very quick overview of ebooks. I've just got some slides that will be sent out at the end of the session, and this slide just goes through the difference between PDF and EPUB and how you can read ebooks online. You can also read ebooks online on the EBSCO mobile app, which I'll quickly point out in a moment. This is just some more information about publisher permissions and how you can see whether you can copy pages or not, and how many users can read the ebook at the same time. And then if you want to end up exporting a chapter or downloading some pages, how you can do that. And if you're after some more help resources, I've just got some links. So the EBSCO library guide, LibGuide is really useful and worthwhile checking out. So there is a link on this page. So are there any questions at all about ebooks? So I'll just wait a moment to see if there are any questions at all. Okay. Now, really quickly, there is the EBSCO mobile app, so you can read ebooks and access journals from here as well. So you can download this from Apple's App Store or Google's Play Store. Once you download the app, and it's just called EBSCO. So once you download it, you would just search for your institution's name. This is a very general example here. Once you find your institution name, you just sign in as you would. And so here are just some slides showing that you can run searches and you can also limit those searches. There's a source type limiter, so you could indicate whether you only want to search academic journals or perhaps you only want to search ebooks. And so this also shows how you can then access, so read online full text or listen to the full text. And you can also read ebooks online as well. And then you can save and store items. And if you sign into your My EBSCO account, it will show you the items you've saved on the desktop as well. It will synchronize. So those slides are worth checking out, and just some more information about some links here to the Apple iOS and Android store, and some guides around the mobile quick start, a mobile app. So, all right, what we'll do now before we wrap up, there is a quiz that we're going to do now. Sorry, just one sec. So get ready. So I want you to click on this link available, or actually there's a QR code, so you can just use the QR code with your phone, or I've just shared the link in the chat. So I want you to click on that link, and you just need to put in your name and your contact details. And so I'll just give you a minute or so to do that. And then I'll put the 5-minute timer on. So you'll have 5 minutes to complete the quiz. So it's just on Microsoft Forms. So you just need to complete all 5 questions and get them all correct. And there will be 5 winners. Oops. So go back a step. Let's try that again. Okay. So if you're having any issues accessing the quiz, let me know, but we're just going to start. I'm going to start the timer now, unless anyone objects or needs more time. Okay, nobody's objecting, so I'll start the timer now. Okay, keep submitting those questions because there's still a lot of people that can be in the running. So if you haven't answered, I definitely encourage you because you still have an opportunity to win a prize. Okay, if you haven't submitted your answers, please do. There's still opportunities to win prizes. So you've still got a chance. So definitely, I think I've received 9 respondents so far. So if you haven't responded yet, please do. Okay, I've had 13 respondents and there's still an opportunity to win a prize. So you've still got just over a minute. So definitely, if you haven't entered yet, please do. "30 seconds to go, but there's still time if you want to enter." Okay, time's up. Thank you everyone who has entered. I'm just going to tally up the responses and let's see who has won. So in first prize, we have Sa Akmal. So if you're here, still on the call, Sa, congratulations. So that's coming in first place. Okay, and then in second place, we've got Chu Jia Wen. So congratulations to you, Chu. So that's second place. In third place, we've got Dr. Siaida Abdullah. Congratulations. In fourth place, we've got Jasia Afrin Bristi. Okay, and then fifth place, this one's a bit more tricky. So all of those, congratulations to the top 4. And then in fifth place, we have Fatima. So congratulations to all the winners. I'll provide the list of the winners to your librarian and they'll be in contact with you about your prizes. Wonderful.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, everyone. Congratulations. And thank you to everyone for participating in the quiz. It's great to see a lot of people participate.
By the way, will you share us the links that you said that if we want some more assistance, we can read from those links?
Yes,
Will you
so
share them?
the slide deck, so it has all the links in here that will be shared. So I'll share that with your librarian and they will share it with you afterwards. And the recording will be shared with you as well.
Thank you so much.
No worries at all. Well, thank you everyone for your time. Thank you for joining me in this session. I hope you've enjoyed it. And best of luck with your studies. Thank you again. Have a great day.